I wake up every single day. I am who I say I am. And I get what I get because I live in beast mode. Stop being gazelles. You're not average. You're not even good. You were born to be great.
We keep it burning, baby.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome to another edition of the Secret to Success podcast. I'm your host, CJ, my co-host, my beautiful co-host, Dr. Reverend, motivational speaker, author, PhD. Anything else I'm missing, E? I want to do the bomb introduction for you, man. You're a big deal these days.
I wish.
Of course, ET is joining me, man. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for all your comments. This is the third episode. You guys been great, commenting, Twitter, Instagram, giving us great feedback. We want to make sure we provide you guys with a good show, stuff that you guys can take and use, tangible information, advice on just how to take yourself to the next level. So getting into that, man, we're just going to jump right into it. I'll be honest with y'all, it wasn't the greatest start to my new year. Had a rough New Year's Eve. Let me paint the picture. Everybody's going out, everybody's hanging. Of course, Michigan State and Alabama are playing E, so I'm at the house. I'm in the man cave. I got the big screen.
I'm at the game. I'm in Texas.
Yeah, got everything ready, E. Everything is ready. And my wife was actually working. She's in quarter close. Of course, she's in finance, so they're closing up the book. So I'm watching the game by myself. I'm excited. I'm geeked up. I'm thinking we could pull this off against the mighty Alabama. And for those of you who watched the game, it was 38-0.
Or heard about it.
Yeah, and my New Year's Eve was not quite what I envisioned it. So I was at the house in the man cave by myself, watching my boys get whooped on. It was a rough night, man. I was definitely a little down about the game. Thought we played them well for about 24 minutes. The score was 0-0. And then Alabama just took over, man. The boys had too much depth, too big.
Opened up a can.
Too
Opened
strong.
up a can.
We couldn't, right, exactly, and we couldn't stop them. So my New Year didn't start exactly like I wanted to. Of course, I was hoping for a Spartan championship, but congrats to the fellas, man. They got to the Final Four. Huge achievement for Coach D'Antonio and the rest of the Spartans. Just making it
only
to
in the
Final
second
Four.
year.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, only in the second year of the playoffs.
Exactly. So huge achievement for the guys. Yeah,
absolutely. But we were over here. My wife was somewhat torn, even though she is, a Spartan at heart, because we've all attended the university. Jalen's there, but we were torn as a family because a lot of people don't know this. But deep down inside, and he probably gonna get mad at me for saying it. My son is he rolled Tide. My son. Most people don't know. They like, how can he be working at Michigan State and going to Michigan State, and be a Crimson, football fan? Well, my son was actually born in Alabama. Jalen was born in Huntsville, Alabama, unlike my wife and I, who grew up in Detroit. Before we moved here in 2003, when I accepted a fellowship at Michigan State, Jalen was born, and up to about the age of 10 or 11, he grew up watching, the Crimson Tide. He grew up, just seeing the paraphernalia all over the place. So he was torn, but deep down in his heart, like I said, because he was born in Alabama, he's always been a fan. And then, last year we had the privilege of working with Alabama. So we had the privilege of, going on campus and seeing a beautiful facility. Had a chance to sit down and do a one-on-one with Nick Saban, and just spend some time with, the players as well. And so, while we bleed green, we also, man, are in love with character development. And there's so many programs we work with. LSU, Auburn. We work with quite a few. Yeah, Oregon. We work with quite a few programs.
Michigan,
over the years.
State,
Michigan, yep. So, our heart bleeds green, but at the same time, we are connected to a lot of the different
I wasn't thinking about none of that on New Year's Eve. I can't even lie to you. I was all green and white. I had my sweatshirt on, my lucky sweatshirt that we had won the past few games. Man. I was ready.
Did you wash it, though? Maybe you washed it and messed it up or something.
You know what? I don't know. I had to ask my wife if she washed it. That could be the reason we lost.
So it was tough, man.
It was tough, but I think
and I was there, so I'm
right.
in Texas. I'm in the stadium, and I was fortunate enough to. And it was even sweeter because I normally at the football games I normally sit with the basketball team. So here I am, like you said, you got your lucky sweater. I got my lucky position. I'm with me and Coach Izzo together. His family's there, my family's there, all Coach Garland, all the coaches are there, the players are there. We geeked up, we like, let's make it happen. So it was definitely tough, man, leaving the stadium. Now the year before we beat Baylor. So I walked out the stadium feeling real good, hoping we could, make that happen again. But I do, again, just want to, congratulate my guys, man. I know we got some guys that'll be leaving, seniors, be going to the NFL. I am excited about that, man.
Big shout out to the class. Definitely a step forward for the program.
Absolutely.
And the development. Coach D'Antonio, like I said, an amazing job. But, it was kind of a mentor-mentee type of thing. Of course, D'Antonio coached underneath Saban, and this time the mentor got the best of him. And I really want to, you touched on it, and I want to get into the podcast here. Forgive me for my soapbox about my Spartans, but I want to get into, the issue at hand. And, one of the things that, like, people always ask, that when they find out we went to Alabama, like, well, what was Saban like, right? Because he's like, he's like the evil genius kind of, he's got this scowl. He's the same way all the time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, Ian, you can kind of speak from your perspective, but I think the very first thing I noticed, guys, is check this out. Here's one of the winningest coaches in the world, considered to be maybe the best coach, NFL or college, in the world. And we came in, and a lot of times, I'll be honest with you guys, like, we've been to other programs where, the team will hire us to come in and he'll speak, and the head coach is not even in the room, right? The head coach kind of looks at that as, okay, he can go motivate my players, but, I don't need to hear any of that. And the thing I noticed that when we got to Alabama, we get there, everybody feels in the room, and front and center, I mean dead front, dead center, is Coach Saban. And the first thing he does is he whips out his notebook. And I'm standing off to the side and I'm watching E do his thing. And I promise you, he probably had 5 pages of notes from the stuff Eric was talking about. And then the next day in the press conference, he alluded to the fact that, hey, we had Eric Thomas come in here last night. And I believe the quote he remembered from the speech was, everybody wants to be a beast until it's time to do what beasts do. And that was a message that he reiterated to his players throughout the year. So here is a guy who, like I said, all these championships, all of this fame, all this money, and he was front and center. And, it tickled me because you have people who are getting the information free or getting the information or think they're too deep to sit down and learn from somebody. But here's a guy who humbled himself and was like, hey, I'm here to learn just like my players are here to learn. And to me, that was one of the major things that stood out to me about Coach Saban.
Yeah, absolutely. See, and I think for me, it's really along the same vein that you're talking about, is that, like you said, a lot of times when coaches bring me in, the head coach is so, engaged with, the players and what he wants the players to get, that I kind of, go straight to the auditorium, or I'll meet with the strength and conditioning coach, or I'll meet with, the assistant coach. But I thought it was genius that, Coach Saban said, I want to sit down with Eric one-on-one, And so, like, he was like, long before you speak to my squad, like, I really want to have a sit down with you, come in the office, let's kind of talk. And that reminds me a lot of Coach D'Antonio as well, because, Coach, was always like inviting me into his office, and, we were just having, this dialogue, if you will. So I'm thinking, Coach Saban wants to sit down with me and just kind of break down what's going on with the team, some issues that he might wants to make me aware of before I present. And it was what you said. See, it was quite the opposite. He was like, look, I'm not here to tell you what to do. Like, you are an expert at what you do. So he was more like, yo, what do you think? What have you read, or what do you know, or what do you study? And so then when I talked about, like, what do you want me to talk about specifically? He was like, yo, you are the guru. You know how to speak to these kids in a way that I don't know how to speak to them. And not that Coach doesn't know how to speak to them, because like you said, he gets the best out of them. But he recognized that, I just need another voice. And I've heard D'Antonio say the same thing, like, yo, E, I just need, you are a different voice. You have a different perspective, and you can say it in a way that I haven't said it. So I thought that was genius. And then, of course, as a father, I thought it was genius that, he didn't brush me off afterwards, that he spent time with you, and he spent time with my son. He allowed you guys to come in the office, and that just shows me a lot about, who he is, and his focus. So yeah, it was a phenomenal visit. See, it was, like you said, we learned so much not just presenting, but we learn so much from these leaders and our opportunity not only to engage with them, in their locker room or in their office, but on the field, et cetera. So definitely, man, will be one of the engagements that I did that I will remember forever.
Yeah, of course, and even a more specific lesson. I believe me and you had this conversation. There was a special on 60 Minutes, and on the 60 Minute special, they were interviewing Coach Saban, and he talked about the process. And it's something that, for those of you who have followed us in our movement, is something that he's been big on forever, is staying true to the process. Don't rush the process, trust the process. And he talked about how he doesn't even want his guys looking at the scoreboard, right? He doesn't even want them to look up there and notice the scoreboard. And I want to give you two examples, one from when they won the championship a few years ago and one from New Year's Eve. Well, on the 60 Minute special, they showed they were beating Notre Dame. They probably were up 40 points. I don't know what it was, but it was the very end of the game when they were getting ready to run out the clock, and, the game was pretty much over. The Notre Dame players are sad and depressed. The Bama players are on the sideline, and they're just kind of emotionless. And they show this play where the center and quarterback had fumbled the exchange, or somebody got the snap count wrong or something, and it was the end of the game, and here these guys are about to win the national championship, and they got into an argument and start pushing and shoving each other in the middle of the game. It might have been like 1 minute. You can go look it up on YouTube, but there might have been 1 minute, a minute and 30 seconds. The game is clearly over, and here they are winning the national championship, and they're on the field arguing and fighting because of one missed snap, right? They didn't even turn the ball over. There was no threat of them losing the game, but because Coach Saban had them so dedicated to the process that they forgot to even look up at the score and realize, hey, we're about to win the national championship in 90 seconds because they were so focused on every play and staying true to the process. I just read a story yesterday about the other night. They said two Alabama players, and you might not even have heard this yet, but they said two Alabama players got into a fight on the sideline of the game. They're up on Michigan State 38-0, and it's the fourth quarter, and one of the guys started celebrating on the sideline, and another member of the team went over, and I don't know if he tackled him, if he pushed him, if he shoved him, whatever, but he went over there and said, hey, stop celebrating. We haven't won anything yet. And he wasn't even talking about that game per se. He was talking about the national championship and that, hey, this is just a step. This is only, we still got a whole nother game to play. You can chill with all that celebrating. And I was like, wow, not only has Coach Saban bought into the mindset, but he's also got his players to buy into the process. And that's something that we've always talked about. Absolutely, not trophy watching, Steve. Not watching the scoreboard, absolutely, but just staying true to what you have to do every day.
Yeah, I seen some kid on Twitter, make a comment on. Of course, we made a comment earlier about this whole concept of privilege, and I guess some kid was saying, "E, are you alluding to the fact that if you're privileged, that you can't be successful or you can't grind?" We just made it clear that's not what we're talking about at all. I'm telling you, if you privileged, you're not about to outwork me. So I'm not suggesting that you can't work or you can't grind. I'm just letting you know you will not outwork me. Based on my concept of grinding, like, kid, it's not gonna happen. Like, I'm hungry, I'm starving. You're not gonna, so he took it the wrong way. And so we, of course, had to address that. But another kid came behind that kid and said, okay, E, well, when you become successful, like, what do you do then? Do you chill? And I'm like, well, apparently, like, you must be new to ETA. Like, you must be new to ET in the grind. You know what I'm saying? Like, this must be your first week, studying us, because if you really study, let me tell you something. Everybody was hitting me up. The Steve Harvey show. Man, see, you already know the deal. I was so, I was almost pissed after the show, because for me, it was like, here it is, we're doing something on this grand scale and it's over. I'm like, when the next show? You know what I'm saying? When is our show? Like, I'm ready. I'm at the bit, chopping at the bits. And so when we get home, I start on the audio book for Average Skill, Phenomenal Will. Why? Because it's that exact same thing, that Nick Saban is talking about. It is this concept of, it's a process. Like, you don't get caught up on the prize. You don't get caught up on the product. You get caught up on the process, because as long as you're caught up on the process, you will continue to get a prize. You'll continue to get a product. But as soon as you make your focus the prize or the product, that's it for you. And we've said this in our speeches before, see, both of us. But I'm telling you, I always think of Barry Sanders in a conversation he had with his father about how to approach the game. And Barry Sanders, unlike any other football player, when he would score, he never celebrated. He never took the ball, and signed the ball and ran with the game ball. He never did the little dance. And the reason why
B. Sanders
he said
never did the
was,
whip. He didn't dab on him.
He never did the nay-nay.
He didn't dab on him.
Nay-nay. He never dabbed on him. You know what I'm saying? He never dabbed. And the reason he said was because his father told him, you're going to keep scoring. So don't act like it's something big. You're going to be doing this quite a bit, and you're going to be doing this over your entire season. What you need to focus on is strength and development. What you need to focus on is your speed. What you need to focus on is juking the opponent. What you need to focus on is preparation and the process. And you let the touchdown, you let that take care of itself.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. And, you know, the way, I hope this is connecting, right? And so, you know, you think about, you know, all the things that you have going on in your life and the things you want to do. For instance, you know, I had a young lady call me and say, hey, you know, I'm kind of getting frustrated. I set a financial goal and last year I didn't achieve it. And I've set a financial goal for this year and I want to achieve it this year. And what I told the young lady is I said, hey, listen, your problem is you're focused on the wrong thing. You're focused on the money, right? She might have said, hey, I want to make $100,000 in 2016. And I said, that's fine, you know, to have that as a goal, but I want you to reset your goals as activity, not as the result, right? Absolutely. And so what things do you need to do to get to that 100,000? She was in real estate. So I said, how many houses a month do you need to sell in order to hit, you know, do you need to sell in order to hit that $100,000 goal? Well, I need to, you know, about 3 or 4 houses or whatever she said. I need to sell 3 houses. Let's say she said 3 houses. I said, okay, cool. If you need to sell 3 houses in a month, then you need to average a little under 1 per week, right? And so we know that every week you need to be worried about selling 1 house, right? Let's just say 1 house a week. And so in order to sell 1 house a week, how many connections do you have to make? Well, I probably have to talk to about 8 to 10 people in order to get that 1 house sold. I said, okay, cool. So if you have to talk to 8 to 10 people and set up lunches or whatever you have to set up with 8 to 10 people, how many people does it take to reach out to? And she said, probably 20 or 30 people that I would have to reach out to get that 8, you know, those 8 meetings. And so I said, that's your goal right there. 30 meetings or 30 outreaches a week, right? Your goal is 8 meetings a week. And so if you set those as your goals, at the end of the year, the 100,000 will come. You don't have to worry about the money, right? You worried about the activity that you know if you do the activity, you will get to the goal. So for those of you out there who are trying to get to a certain level and trying to get to a certain goal, the same thing could be said with weight loss. You might not want to say, hey, my goal this year is to lose 30 pounds. Right? Because you don't really know how the body works, right? You might be putting on some muscle, you might be, you know, whatever, retaining some water, whatever. Your goal, and then if you don't hit that goal, you're frustrated because you say, man, I thought I should lose this 30 pounds. How about framing the goal as, I want to go to the gym 3 times a week? You know what I mean? Because that is a goal that you can actually set right there and you can attain through your actions and your activity. And then you'll feel good about attaining the goal. And at the end of the year, I promise you, you'll have lost that 30 pounds, but the 30 pounds is 12 months out, E. It's a year away, you know, from where we want to be. Let's focus on and make the goals what we can do today, what we can do this week,
what we can do daily.
Week.
Yeah, because you can control, you know, not eating chocolate, not eating sweets, not eating potato chips. Like, you can control that. You can control how many carbs you take in. You know, those are things you can control. Not drinking pop, what you always say, see, I'm not gonna drink my calories. Right. You know, so you can control not drinking, you know, artificial drinks. You can control that. You can control, the goal is to drink water when I go out to eat. The goal is to drink water throughout the day. The goal is to juice. Like you said, see, those are things that are manageable. You know, and those are things that are within your control. And if you learn to do the things that you can control and not worried about the things you can't control, then like you said, see, you might not only lose 30, you might lose 40, and you might only lose 20, but you might go down 2 pant sizes. You know, you might lose your gut, your midsection. You know, you might put on more muscle. So absolutely, man, we can, and that's what I tell people, like, you're so focused on, you know, fixated on this, I gotta make 6 figures. Okay, so what, you make 6 figures and you spend 6 figures, so what? If the goal is wrong, then really the outcomes at the end of the day are gonna be wrong anyway, and you're gonna find yourself starting all over again. So yeah, I'm with you. See, process. Don't rush the process, trust the process. Don't rush the process, trust the process.
I love it, man. I love it. That's the kind of stuff I get excited about, because when I think about how we built this company, you know, you said it on, and I want to transition because I do want to talk about Steve Harvey, but you said it on the Steve Harvey show. I believe there was a young lady on there, and for those of you who haven't seen it, You know, you can check it out. We tweeted out a couple of the videos. I believe there's YouTube links to them and stuff like that. But there was a young lady on there who said, you know, she was trying to find a man. You know, we run across that quite a bit. She's like, look, in 2016, my goal is to find a man. How do I find it?
Find a man.
What did she say? I've been to Home Depot. I've been to
the
grocery store. And I can't find them.
She said the meat house. See?
Right, exactly. Right, exactly. Exactly. So one of the, you know, I think you gave her some great advice in that you're looking for a man, but the real goal should be to work on yourself and become a wife. So you can kind of break that down, the advice you gave her.
Yeah, you know, man, for real, it's what you said earlier. Our focus is wrong. And because the focus is wrong, the outcomes are always going to be wrong. So if you get the right focus, so the focus should be, one, looking for you, looking to be the best you could be. Because here's the reality. If you are a 7, I don't care how hard you try. A 7 is only going to attract, another 7, a 6, a 5, a 4, a 3, a 2, a 1. There's no way in the world that a 5 is going to attract a 15. So then the goal is not to find a 10 or a 15. It is to become. Because once you become, you're only going to try. Man, let's just be real, man. You know, I've grown as a speaker, right? But I'm just going to be real. I wasn't ready for the NFL 10 years ago. Even if it was a goal, I wasn't ready for the NFL. And we're not talking about the presentation. We're talking about the life. What's required? What do you have to do when you actually get to that particular? I wasn't ready to do corporate America 5-6 years ago, but because I got the master's degree, was able to obtain a PhD, we wrote a few books. You know, I had some life experiences that happened to me. By the time I got to corporate America, I was ready. And too many of us want opportunities that if they were to actually come, you wouldn't be ready for them anyway. So why are you asking for an opportunity that when you get, you're going to mess up and then you'll never get that opportunity again? The doors are going to be closed. So what I was saying to her is, if you want a man, you want a husband, become a wife, become a virtuous woman. Do the things that would make you attractive to somebody else. So what would a man want? And then what a man would want, you need to become that particular thing. So I have become, CJ, what the NFL needs. I have become what the NBA needs. I have become what corporate America needs. And we need people that are performance enhancers. And that's what we do. That's what our company is designed to do. We allow people to go from where they are to go to a level that they never thought they could operate from. So and mentally, that's what we do. We prepare people from their mental approach, mental toughness, and help them to get to that next level. So I've gone through some things that have prepared me to be ready for the opportunities when they came. But you have to understand that, yep, I remember the first, I think, mixtape, I was saying, I'm about to hit the NFL. Guys, I'm all in the NFL now. Okay, but understand, I'm a different person than the kid that said he wanted to go to the NFL to speak, to the kid that's now actually speaking. So I just said to her, look, you got to become the best woman you could be in your realm, in your space. And while you working on you, believe it or not, he's somewhere working on him. And one day you might go to Home Depot and he might be in Home Depot. You know, I don't know. Y'all might meet at Home Depot, but you'll be a 12. And he'll be a 12, and you guys will attract each other because birds of a feather flock together. And I've never seen pigeons and eagles hanging together. I've never seen robins and pigeons hanging together, but I have seen eagles occasionally fly together. So become what it is you want. And I'm telling you, once you become it, you have no choice but to attract what you are.
Absolutely. And look, and I think one of the things you just touched on is so big because you said it, we weren't ready. Had we gotten the opportunity, had Oprah called us 10 years ago, we would not have been in a position to succeed. And that might have messed us all up. We might have got on there and people might have went and checked and seen what we were doing and say, oh man, this is a rinky-dink operation. What did Diddy used to call us? The Mickey Mouse Club. Y'all like the Mickey Mouse Club. Before, you got to understand, when we started this company, we didn't have health insurance. We didn't have benefits. We didn't have 401ks. We didn't have insurance for anybody to get their teeth fixed. And I remember E's wife would dog us out and say, workman's comp. E's wife would dog us out and say, y'all just playing. This is the Mickey Mouse Club. Even after we might have, 6-7 years ago, after after we started having some success, she was still looking at us saying, this company ain't ready. Y'all still not getting people stuff shipped out on time. Your books, you know, is here and there. The stuff is scattered all over the place. It doesn't look like a company. And had we had that kind of attention on the brand back then, it might have tore the brand up. And I had to learn that the hard way. And I think we had those growing pains. And now, unfortunately, I'm in a position where I have to try to teach other people that. I told you the other day, I got, you know, somebody reached out to me about a podcast, right? And they had started their podcast like a month ago, right? And you might have, you know, 10, 20 people listening, your family members. That's great. I love it. You got busy. You're starting something you love to do. You might end up being great at it, but you want to book ET as one of your first guests on your podcast with 20 listeners, right? And you're hoping that by E coming on your podcast, everybody, you know, who's under our sphere of influence, our supporters, are going to go listen to the podcast, and that's going to blow you up. Well, that's not the truth, because you're not polished enough. You're not ready right now. So if I put E on your podcast right now and 1,000 people, 5,000, 10,000 people come and listen to that interview for ET, they might like the information E's given, but it's not going to make them stay with your podcast because it's not developed enough. So now I'm in a position where, E, I told you the other day, I kind of feel like, man, am I being a jerk because I keep telling people no because they're not on that level or they're not ready? And it's not me trying to big time you. It's not me trying to say, oh, E's way too big to be on your little rinky dink podcast. It's not that at all. I'm saying I'd be cheating. You'd be cheating the levels if I let E come on your podcast in your second week of existence and try to give you all this exposure that you're not ready for. But I think as people, we don't quite understand that concept. So sometimes I get, you know, emails back and stuff, and people like, oh, I thought Eric Thomas was a man of the people. I thought he was somebody who could, you know, come on anybody's podcast, or he says that, you know, he's not above anybody. And I said, it's not about that. I'm trying to protect you from you.
Yeah, you know what's so big? See, you know, people ask me, you know, a couple people in my family, you know, grandma call, aunties call, you know, and everybody was like, you know, kind of like, yo, E, you know, they want to know the experience. Some of my close friends call, what was the experience? What was it like, you know, being on the Steve Harvey Show? And I'll be honest, see, to me, the biggest piece was we were ready, see. We were ready, see. We were ready. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, Steve Harvey on 2 occasions promoted our book. See, we were ready, see. We had thousands of books, see, packaged and ready to go. And I was so grateful when I started seeing the sales, and I started seeing the book sales. I started seeing the app and the numbers were coming in. You know, I was looking at the numbers. I was like, yo, guys, we were ready. We were ready. We went on Steve Harvey's show and we were ready. Not the show, but we were ready. We had a book. You know how many people go on the show, see, and they don't have a website? They don't have any EPK. They don't have a bio. They don't have any videos to highlight what they do. See, we had a book, see? We sold books, see? Mm-hmm. So that's what I was excited about. Not that we were on a show, but we were able to leverage the show. And then see, what I was excited about was the fact that not only were we on the show, but we had put ourselves in a position, not only with Steve Harvey, but with the world, for Steve to say, there's no way I can start the new year off talking about motivation on a Monday and not have yours truly, E.T. the hip hop preacher. Wow. So we have created this expertise, if you will, in this space that says like, yo, if you're doing motivation, it's not possible for you to do it without having ET. And if you saw some of the people that came on the show the rest of the week, like you had Ray Lewis, you had some pretty prominent people on the show that week. But he said, look, if I'm gonna start this thing off, I gotta start off with ET the hip hop preacher on Monday. Why? Thank God it's Monday. We created that, see? And then to take it to the next level, what really, really took it to that next level for me, see, was the fact that people called us after that, see? We had producers, major producers, from TV producers to Hollywood producers who called and said, yo, E, man, we saw you on the Steve Harvey show. Are you interested in doing this? And are you interested in doing that? We had other NBC affiliates calling. We want to interview you. Can you do a morning show? Can you do, and see, that's what I was excited about. Not the opportunity itself, but I was excited about the fact that we leveraged the opportunity that we had. See, we were ready for ready. We were ready for ready. We was ready for ready.
No, and man, that's so spot on, and it goes right back to what we were talking about. As you're sitting here talking, I'm thinking about what we just said. Our goal was never to be on Steve Harvey. Our goal was never for, NBC or any of these networks to be calling us, asking us to do TV stuff, voiceover, none of that. That was never the goal. You know what our goal was? Let's do TGIM every week.
That's it.
Let's do TGIM every single week.
That's it.
Right? And that's what we could control. I was telling somebody the other day, think about it. They were like, oh, y'all on the Steve Harvey show. And it was somebody, who was in our young males group back at Michigan State. Remember on Sunday where we would have kids from the community, we would have kids from all over come. And look, we probably had my dad cook. We probably had, some I think we have in Lansing what we call cracked chicken. We got them some cracked chicken, and we would come into that room for a couple hours on Sunday and just vibe with the students and do the exact same thing that we do now, right? That was something that we could do tangibly at that day. Did I know that was going to turn into the Steve Harvey show? Absolutely not. But we did exactly what we were supposed to do, and we followed our calling and didn't worry about, man, if we could just only get to the Steve Harvey show. Nope, I'm about to do this Sunday session where 14 young men come in here between the ages of 14, 15, and 25, and we're just going to build with them. We're just going to learn, and we're just going to grow together. And that turned into something. Again, focus on the activity, not the end result. Focus on the activity that it takes to get there.
Yeah, and I want to say this too, see, for people who, like yourself, who works for a brand, because there are people out there that work for a brand and they want to blow up, but here's the thing, they're so focused on working with a brand that they think has blown up or a brand that's going to blow up, then that's their focus. And I see what I was so excited about, in addition to what I said, see, man, I was so excited about that all of our players were ready too, see, not just you and I, see.
No,
you had
Carl.
Carl hit me up. The squad was ready. Carl hit me up and was like, yo, we did an overhaul on our website. I'm like, what, Carl? He like, yo, you going on the Steve Harvey show, and it might only be for 24 hours, but we gotta do an overhaul. I'm like, what do you mean? He like, I got it. He was like, ASPWbook.com. And I'm like, what's up with that?
Average Skill Phenomenal Wheel.
I'm like, what's that? He like, I got a website just for Average Skill Phenomenal Wheel. And we're not selling this and we're not selling that. We just gonna be ready with the book. I'm like, what? He like, I'm telling you. He said, I did my research, and we gotta narrow this thing down. We can't have a million things up when people come. He said, look, for real, ASPWbook.com. And I'm like, unbelievable, Carl. And Carl is making decisions, and he ain't even really like that, no, I'm gonna make a decision type dude, right? But he was ready. Maul was ready. Maul had the warehouse clean.
Well, how many books did we pre-package?
Oh, we pre-packaged probably about 5,000 books, see? And I'm just
pre-packaged.
I'm just watching them.
You don't think I don't think we would have got that. We definitely didn't get that done for Secret to Success.
And we didn't get it done for Greatness is Upon You. But we approached this one so different. Why? Because we was going on the Steve Harvey show. And we already knew, see? We knew the numbers. We did the math. We like, okay, you got so many viewers watching. Okay, 10% usually buy. And if 10% don't buy, if you get 1% to buy, it's like bingo, got it. And so I just want people to hear what I'm telling you. You were bigging up the show. We was on the show. We were not. Look, we were so grateful to Steve Harvey. And trust me, there's some stuff in the works, right? But we wanted to leverage it because in our mind we said, this might be the only show we ever do. And even though in the back of our minds we don't feel like it's going to be the only, we still approached it like it was the only show. And here's the biggest piece, see, after that show was over, we went straight in the studio and started the audio book for Average Skill Phenomenal Wheel. And not only that, after my first gig, people blew out the frame like, yo, you at a middle school in a classroom? I'm saying, yep, back to one. Remember the song? Brian McKnight did the 1, 2.
Oh, you're like a dream come true.
4, I wanna be with you.
Just wanna be.
Hey, he say 10, and guess what? Then we start back again at 1.
And start back at 1.
We start back again at 1, bro.
Shout out to B. McKnight.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, y'all don't know, but B. McKnight got some Oakwood roots.
I got caught up.
So you think E the only big-time celebrity to come out of Oakwood. Brian McKnight was also at Oakwood for a time period. So shout out to Brian McKnight, man. And this seems like a decent time to tell you guys to go check out the book, Average Skill Phenomenal Wheel. We worked so hard on that book. It's a smaller read than Greatness is Upon You, something quick, a reference manual per se that you can refer back to, and it comes with the workbook. Get those two together. I promise you, some great information in there that's going to definitely help.
Yeah,
you
and I
go
think
to
the
next
biggest
level in
piece,
whatever you want to do.
I think the bigger piece is it comes with a training series, you know, and I'm just going to be honest. A lot of books you get, you know, you can't get a free online, you know, training to go along with the book so that you understand the context of how we wrote this book. You understand the stories. You know, you're not reading it from a biased perspective, you know, or ignorant perspective, but you're understanding the 10 principles that really help, you know, catapult us, you know, and get us to a whole nother level in terms of, you know, what we do professionally. So I think that training PC is huge. And you also get an opportunity to get, I don't remember how long, I'm going to be honest, but you're signed up with Breathe University for a few weeks at least, and you get an opportunity to get exposure to our university. So, I mean, for the price and the value that you're getting, for real, if you're trying to take your game to the next level and you've enjoyed the TGIMs, you've enjoyed the mixtapes, etc., look, knowledge is the new money. You need to get you some. And for a very small investment, we're giving you an opportunity to get exposed, you know, to our training. And I think that's huge.
And while we're on that, I want to transition into somebody who was said to have, you know, somewhat average skill and phenomenal will, and that's Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Now, there was an image going around about his scouting report, and I just wanted to talk about that because you want to talk about somebody who worked on their game phenomenally. I just want to read some of the weaknesses they say, E. They said that he was not a true point guard. He was out of control at times. Bad shot selection. He was stuck between a 1 and a 2 point guard, shooting guard. They didn't quite know what he was. They said his ability to defend at the next level was questionable. His lateral quickness, versatility to defend multiple positions, limited upside. And they said that he was projected as a backup or fringe starter. And then he said also his college system made it difficult to evaluate him. He had average size, average athleticism,
Unbelievable,
average wingspan. This is the one I love, frail frame, and relies too heavily on outside shot. And I was reading that and I was like, wow.
Unbelievable, see.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
And you're talking about, like I said, we had kind of talked about it on the first podcast.
Unbelievable.
But, I mean, you could consider the boy the greatest player in the league right now and on his way to being one of the best players
Unbelievable.
ever. And that was the scouting report.
Yeah.
And there's people out there, you saying, oh, I don't have this and I don't have that. And, you know, I'm not that good at this. And I'm telling you, that's why we wrote this book, The Average Skill, Phenomenal Will. You are looking at us for real. You might be looking at E and I like, oh man, they just mad talented. They had a secret fairy dust sprinkled on them and they just blew up. No, it's not like that. You're talking about me, somebody who was a football player his whole life and had to readjust everything with a 17 on my ACT. You're talking about E being a homeless high school dropout. And for us to build a multi-million-dollar company, that's why we're so passionate about this, guys. You have to understand that we were not most likely to achieve. You know what I mean? This wasn't a brand that was like, oh, okay, we just, you know, we destined for stardom. Like people been telling us for years. No, there was times when we had to walk into high school and beg to come speak to those students.
Oh, man.
E, you remember? They would sit there and tell us, look, you got 10 minutes with the students. We like, man, can we get 15? They like, no. Right? Kicking us out the door. We were just trying to give our gift away and couldn't give it away. People saw us as average. People saw us as, you know, not elite or not worthy enough to do what we were doing, and we just kept on working. And that's why we wrote Average Skill, Phenomenal Will.
Yeah, see, you're talking about the 10, 15 minutes they gave me to speak. Man, forget that, see. Let's talk about how long we were in the office with the criminal record, you know what I'm saying, interview. I mean, they putting us through all kinds of stuff. You got to see my ID, license, social security card, passport. I mean, see, I'm being real. I just remember the time we spent in the office with them giving us the, you know, they giving us the 411. Just who are you? You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm
absolutely.
Yeah,
and think about this. And think about this. We're going through all of that, and we still 9 times out of 10 they wouldn't let us speak to the students. And now, oh my, what a difference.
See, I walked into school the other day. See, I walked straight in. See, I walked straight in. I'm talking about the administration.
You didn't have to get frisked?
Man, the administration was taking
security?
pictures. See, I couldn't even get in the classroom and talk to the students because the administration wanted to take pictures. The administration was telling me their life story, how they listened to me and how it changed their life. I couldn't even get to the baby, see? And then when I walk in the classroom, see, the kids are like, oh, is that him? I can't believe it. Is that him? And I'm saying, wow, because we persevered, because we stuck with this thing.
And I hope they understand this. Do y'all know how hard it is, right? And I was the man tasked with, branding this company. Do y'all understand how hard it is to get 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids to think a motivational speaker is cool? Right? I just remember back in the day when I was sitting in school and they told us we had a motivational speaker. We were like, oh my goodness, a motivational speaker. And that's how they saw us. E, do you remember going to New Jersey and sitting in there? These kids were not geeked up to see no ET and CJ. We going on the stage, the kids throwing papers. We can't even get a word out of our mouth before they throwing kids out the auditorium. You got kids in there standing up talking, throwing stuff on stage. We went through so much, and I just look at that and say, man, what if we would have been like, you know what, this ain't working out. I can't do it no more. But we stuck to it and understood that it's a process. Again, it's something we have to go through. Nobody thought a motivational speaker was cool. Nobody, when we walked into school, nobody was like, what up, what up, what? Nobody was on that. And now we go in places and people are excited about it because we stayed true to the process. And I think that's so critical. And if people would, really grind it out. Somebody asked me yesterday, I've been doing this, for a while. When should I change up or reevaluate my strategy? I said, how long you been doing it? About 1.5 years. I'm saying, what? Reevaluate your strategy. You just need to keep working. If you know you're doing the right thing, if you're in your calling and in your gift, I can't tell you how long it's going to take to blow up. Like I said, that was probably 2-3 years in that those kids were booing us and kicking us off the stage and we had to leave. And remember the principal came up to us afterwards and was like, man, I'm so embarrassed. I apologize, y'all. The kids was terrible. Right? We went through that. And now we come in and they like, E.T. And I'm like, wow, what if we would have quit?
Yeah, man. See, I want to take it back even further, man. Yo, do you remember, and I just want people to get it, see? And this is why I'm so grateful for this podcast, because unlike TGIM is really giving me an opportunity, and you an opportunity, to really let them get behind the scenes and really get to know us and know our story, which I think is critical. But see, do you remember being either in, what were you? You might have been in middle school or high school. I wasn't even living in Lansing at the time. Do you remember I came to your school and spoke?
I sure do.
Was that middle school or high school?
I don't know if we ever told that story.
Never, man. We've never told the story.
Yeah, I was in the 7th grade at Dwight Rich Middle School.
Wow.
When a guy came in and he still had the hat on. And I remember
still had the hat on, see? They think I just started doing
the school assembly. And I remember thinking at the time, like, who is this guy? Right. And I'm not going to lie. We were, I was sitting there, I wasn't, I'm not going to say I was super locked in, but I remember being like, wow. I think at the time you were talking about, for real, you're not investing in your schoolwork. You investing in, Jordans and other stuff. And that was kind of your message to us to, invest the same amount of energy and time into video games and all of this other foolishness as you do, as much time as you invest into that, invest into your books and stuff like that. So yeah, you're talking about, man, I don't even know how many years ago, but yeah, I was in 7th grade when I first saw Eric Thomas speak. And I didn't even realize when my dad told me to come meet you that you were the same guy. I didn't even realize it.
Isn't that something crazy? I mean, I just want them to see? Because they're thinking that, like you said, it's just poof, this magic potion. They don't even realize that I was in your space. Didn't even live here. I lived in Huntsville, Alabama. I didn't even live in Lansing. And I was working with Michigan State, and I would volunteer and come do work at the middle schools and the high schools. And whoever knew that one of the greatest tantrums, to ever come together would actually have met each other. That means that you at that time might have been 14 or something. And I might have been in my, late 20s at that time, And so think all those years later, here we are, all those years later, working together, grinding it out and making it happen. And I'm doing the exact same thing I'm doing. It's like you said, I had on the gym shoes then. I had on the jeans then. I had on the t-shirt then. I had on the baseball cap then. And I'm telling you, I just stuck with it. And there are those of you out there, the reason why you will never be successful is every time it doesn't work, you keep stopping and starting all over again. You keep changing your swag because they don't like it. You keep changing your approach because they don't like it. You keep changing the way you present your gift or the way you style your gift because they don't like it. And man, I'm telling you, you got to stick with it. And there was a time the baseball cap wasn't cool. The gym shoes wasn't cool. But now, we made motivation, we made learning, we made being spiritual, we made being married. We made a lot of stuff cool. Yeah,
and you talk about sticking to your gift. I want to tell this story, E. It was funny. We had, E was on me like about getting gigs. He had caught me scoreboard watching. The same thing I told you guys not to do, right? I had, basically, gotten, pretty happy about, the amount of views we were getting. We might have been getting like 5,000 views per video. Not even that deep, but for us at the time, it was huge. And I remember I called E and I was like, yo, we getting all these, you see how many views that video got? It got like 10,000 views. Oh my goodness, And E was like, how many gigs did you give me? And I was like, I'm not sure. Let me go check. You know how you try to divert. I'm trying to divert. Like,
let me go check.
Hold on, I had 3. Hold on, let me open my email. Because I know I had cereal for breakfast. And E was like, no, see, you getting caught up looking at the scoreboard. That's not what's important. Did you get me any gigs? And I went and I finally got him a corporate gig. We had done some schools and stuff like that, but I had got E a corporate gig. And I just want to show you guys an example of how we stuck to the script, exactly what E's talking about. I had went out and put some feelers out and finally got a corporate company to call back. And they called back and they were like, yeah, we want to book him. We want to pay him this fee. It might have been $5,000 at the time. We want to pay him this fee to come in. And they said, but we watched his videos you sent and we really like him, but we need him to come in with a suit and tie. Can he lose the baseball cap and the shirt and the gym shoes? We need him to come in a shirt and tie. And I'm like, okay, now he been on me about getting the gigs. I got the gig. Now I just got to convince him to lose the shirt and the tie. And I called E, to lose the baseball cap and put on a shirt and tie. And I called E and I was like, yo, they ready for you. I got you the corporate gig. It's a nice dollar amount. They just need you to lose the baseball cap and put on a shirt and tie. And E said, call him right back, tell him I can't do it. And I'm like, E! He's like, call him right back, tell him I can't do it. And I was like, wow. I was like, yo, E's serious about the brand and where we are and sticking true to what we have and our USP, our unique selling proposition. The thing that makes us different is the thing that's going to blow us up. And I called them back, y'all, and I turned down our first corporate offer because they wanted to change who we are and what we do. And then it was so funny, probably, I want to say it was close to a year to the date. That next year, almost that exact same time, I got a call from a corporate company and they said, we'd like to book Eric Thomas. We've been watching his videos. We love his style. We love everything about it. Do you think he could come in? And we did the contract and we got everything sorted. And the lady called me back, E, and was like, we just have one simple request. And my heart started beating. I'm like, oh man, they're going to want to put on the shirt and tie. She was like, can you make sure he wears the baseball cap? Because that's how we all know him and we want to recognize him as soon as he comes in, and that's how we all are used to seeing him on the video. And I was like, wow, we stuck to the script. And a year later, not only are they not asking you to put on the suit and tie, they're saying to make sure you wear the baseball cap and the gym shoes because that's how they're used to seeing you. And that's just a testament, and it just goes to show exactly what you just talked about. Stick to the script.
Stick to
the
script.
Don't worry about the results. Stick to the script.
Yeah, and you know what, see, a lot of people, when they saw me with the hat, for real, they get the wrong impression, man. And what I'm really trying to convey is our values. For real, man, we from the city, man. Your father was at GM. My father who raised me, Jim, my mom, Ford. That's where we come from, man. Blue collar, grind. And that's what it's all about. When you see the jeans, that's what it's all about. I tell people when I walk into a school, and this is no disrespect to somebody who has that brand, but when I walk into a middle school, an urban middle school, when I walk into an urban high school and they see the shirt and tie on, they automatically like, we can't relate. When I walk in, they like, yo, we can relate. And boom, as soon as I walk in and start speaking, they locked in. They like, yo, you symbolically, you resemble me. Symbolically, our stories are similar. Symbolically, you've gone through the same struggle that I've gone through. And symbolically, if you can make it, I can make it. And so that's what happens. For me, it doesn't look like, I'm some guy that cannot understand their plight. I can't understand their struggle. I don't know what they're going through. When I walk in the building, they're like, whoa, ET is just like me. And even corporate. Corporate is about the grind. If you don't grind, you don't eat as a company. Nobody's giving you anything free. And so the brand is, guys, we are hard-nosed. We blue collar. And so if you say no to us because we're not wearing a shirt and a tie, it just means that our brands are not in alignment. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with that company, but I only want to go places where our values are in alignment, because if our values are not in alignment, they're not going to be able to embrace our message and do anything with it.
Go where you celebrate.
That's it, not where you tolerate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Let's move on. Of course, man, to the fan favorite, Ask ET. You guys have been sending in your questions, man. Thank you for that. Of course, you can go to Twitter and use the hashtag AskET. If you have a question for E or myself on the podcast, we'll try to get it answered. And of course, as always, this segment is brought to you by ETA Grind Gear. Redefining the grind one day at a time. Listeners to this podcast can use the promo code SECRET2SUCCESS and get an extra 20% off checkout, available exclusively at etinspires.com. So go use that code, guys, SECRET2SUCCESS and that's on anything, the books, the gear. You've been wanting to get a shirt, a hoodie, whatever that is. Go to the store, use the code, and get the 20% off. So we're going to jump right into it. We got a bunch of questions, man. I'm just trying to find a couple good ones.
Okay.
But I wanted to start off because I'm going to see if you remember it. But Jamie in Cape Town, South Africa, and shout out to South Africa, man. They've been rocking with us for a long time. We haven't made our way over there yet, but I promise you, we are going to somehow make that thing happen and get over there in South Africa with you guys. But Jamie in Cape Town, South Africa said, E.T., what is your most embarrassing moment as a speaker?
Man, and you said, do I remember it?
Hey, and I know exactly what it is, but I don't want to say now. I want to see if you and I'm not saying it's your most, but I definitely remember one. And you know what? I'm not going to say that.
Is it the King and the Martin Luther King?
No. And for those of you who wonder what he's talking about, he was giving a speech one time, and he was talking about how it's hard, it's difficult, when your husband dies, to upgrade. And he was talking about, of course, Martin Luther King. And he was saying, he meant to say Coretta Scott King in terms of who the wife was, but he said, how do you think Rosa Parks could move on after her husband, Dr. Martin Luther King, died? And it was so funny because he was going in so hard, and I just seen everybody looking around like, man, Rosa and Martin was married? I didn't even, they thought he had dropped a new exclusive Black History fact. And so that was hilarious. But that's not the one I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about one that was a bit more recent. It was a corporate event, and we were in Texas. Let me see if that jars your memory at all.
No, help me out, see.
It was two ladies in the front row.
I still don't get it.
Which?
And what did I say, see?
So, all right, so I'm going to have to set it up. We were, shout out to Which Jeff, you guys, it's always
Which sandwich, which.
Yeah, of course, Which, man, love that place. Call Jeff, man, see if we can get a sponsorship, another sponsorship besides ETA for the podcast. Let Jeff know we're doing some big things. Yeah. But shout out to Which, a great sandwich and a great company that, we've had a relationship with for a long time, but we were doing a corporate training there. And E got, they were all excited because this was maybe the second or third year we were there. So everybody's pumped up for E. And I'm in the back of the room, and E gets up front. And E starts in, he's going in. And then there's these two ladies that are like motioning to him. And they're like waving a little bit. And I see them, I'm like, you remember that?
I do now.
They're like motioning to him. And E's like, it's kind of throwing E off because he's like, yo, why are these ladies sitting here talking back and forth? While I'm trying to speak, I just got up here. And so you see E just stop. And he was like, huh? What? And he looks at him, and you want to take it from here?
Oh, man, they tell me your fly's open. He flies open. So you know me, y'all. My swag, I just turned real quick, boom, hit it up, and kept going. That's why I think
He had his zipper open. I'm talking about wide open the entire time he was up there speaking, and the ladies, bless their heart, were trying to let him know low key to fix his zipper. And of course, he was like, look, I gotta give you credit. You handled it definitely like a G. He was like, oh, my fly open. He was like, hold on, let me get that. He was like, no, don't whisper. You gotta go beast mode. Just tell me.
Beast mode with that one.
Yeah, no, I was dying laughing, y'all. It was hilarious just to see, E in that light, man. But like I said, he definitely handled it like a champ.
See, that's why I think it was my most embarrassing moment, because I handled it so sweetly.
Well, I don't even think you knew that you married Rosa and Martin.
Yeah, no, I didn't know that.
I guess
I didn't know that.
I
didn't know that initially.
Either. Yeah. Right, exactly. You found out later that you had rewritten Black history, so absolutely. But nah, man, I died laughing. Like, it was so funny, and everybody in there died laughing. And it was it was a cool moment. But you never know, man. In this line of profession, like they say, it's live, baby.
It's
it ain't
live
and
it's not Memorex.
So I don't know what happened, but he had some indecent exposure going on that day. So this question actually comes from Twitter, E, and this is at Yoss_06.
Okay.
He says, will you ever be able to fully realize how you're not only changing lives, but actual generations of lives? #AskET, and that comes from Yoss on Twitter.
Yeah.
Are you? So I guess what he's saying is, will you ever be able to realize the impact that you're having on not just this generation, but the next?
No, I don't think anybody can. I mean, I don't think, we thought in our wildest imagination that we would have this type of impact. It's at a point now, I'm just gonna be honest. I do have to be strategic, especially when I'm with my wife, but I can't go anywhere now, and people not, recognize me. And I think what's different, a lot of people say to me, E, just understand this. Like, I'm not no stalker, I'm not no groupie. Like, I don't get caught up into that. If I was to see maybe a football celebrity or basketball or, an entertainer or whatever, they're like, look, I wouldn't even go up and say nothing to them. Like, respect the movie, respect the game, but they've not done anything to change my life. For the most part, it's entertainment. And I, E, I don't want to disrespect you. I know you with your family. I know you're on your grind. But I had to stop and tell you, man, like, for real, you changed my life. This ain't no groupie stuff. Like, you changed my perspective. Like, you changed the way I look at life. You changed my hustle, my grind. And as a result of that, like, things have happened in my life. So, it's kind of like, they're like, look, I don't even like doing pictures and stuff with people, but man, can we get a pic? So I do know, that we have, as an organization, made some major impact, significant impact in people's lives. Even, man, with the Steve Harvey show, I'm gonna be real, man, my YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, like, the threads were just off the charts. People were just so happy, for us. And I think that's the difference, man. We made the kind of impact that's like life changing. It's not surface, it's not superficial. It's deep rooted. And so, no, of course, we will never know. But I can say this: I have been humbled, by the emails that have come in. People still sending snail mail. Just the response that we have gotten when we go into schools and corporate America. They're like, yo, we've been watching your video for years, and to have you physically here, people were crying. I was at United Shore yesterday, my first gig of 2016. Shout out to Matt, who was a Spartan, played on the championship basketball team in 2000. And man, shout out to him for the opportunity. But man, when I walked in, people were crying. People were hugging me and holding me, saying, you don't know how you changed my marriage, how you changed my relationship with my son, how you gave my son hope again, how you helped my family member get through a disease. It's just, it truly is, humbling. Like, you and I both, of course, we thought that we would be successful in life. We thought, you always tell the team, like, yo, Carl, you would have been successful as a biologist. Like, LaShawna, you would have been a successful lawyer. You always tell them that. But I think we've created, I'm telling my age, but we've created a Voltron, where we've made each other better And as a result of making each other better first, because people don't know when we were in the office having worship. People don't know when we were reading the self-help books. Like, we're not talking about what we were doing for the world. People don't know when we were in class and we were studying, you know, and
You know how many John Maxwell books he made me read?
Man.
John Maxwell got a bunch of my money.
You know what I'm saying?
But it was all, I mean, but I'm gonna be real with you. That's what the kind of stuff that developed us into what we are. And I think, E, as you're going, I'm thinking, you know, I did have big visions and big dreams, and I did think we could achieve big things. I think the thing that surprised me the most is the international presence that we've garnered and the international love. Like, you guys can't even imagine the mixtape that was downloaded in over 250 countries, right? We go to London, we go to Australia, Egypt, we go places. Imagine we're in Australia just walking down the street in Sydney on 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and somebody comes up like, oh my goodness. Like, I think that's the thing that, you know, really blows me away, is the love that we've been, you know, getting overseas and from all over the world.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of thing that, you know, it just humbles you, man. It refocuses you and reminds you, you know, why we got into this in the first place, and why, you know, we wanted to go down this road was to inspire people. And so when you see the reach, man, it's I agree, it's just crazy.
Yeah, and I
man.
think the support, man, is another thing that's blown my mind. I mean, you think about the Dr. Thomas album, because of the world, man, we were ranked. You know, I think at one point we were like maybe 14 or something. We were ranked 14.
10.
We ranked 10. You know, and I think about Curtis at Patchwork. You know, how Curtis showed us mad love, man, and just how so many of the different artists and, you know, Mike Stroh, how so many people just poured into us and said, look, we're not even going to treat you or deal with you like we normally do business. Like, we love what you're doing. And I think that is also something, man, that has blown my mind. Just how many people, man, we've garnered so much support from just, you know, just people like us, just everyday people. And then even celebrities, you know, even like top leaders in the world. Like, man, the support that we've gotten, and people wanting to see us do well. You know, people, man, you know, got our back. It's just, man, it's been
understand,
unreal.
guys, when he's talking about that, it's not just because, you know, we're skilled. It's not because he's a great speaker. I really want y'all to get this in 2016, man. You got to add value to people. The reason people want to look out for us, the reason people want to, you know, show us love when we come into a city and take us out to eat and do all these things, is because we didn't come into the relationship saying, what can we get out of these people who going to support us? Can we get them to buy a book? Can we get them to do this? Can we get them to do that? We just poured out our gift and we gave. Like, in 2016, really try to add value to people's life. Don't worry about what you're going to get back, right? People always go into a relationship saying, what can I get out of this? What can they make for me? And I think that's why most people end up getting divorced, you know, relationships end, because you're in it to see what you can get out. He got up and did TGIM every day, not because he thought, oh, one day they're going to buy a book. He did it because he was like, man, people going through it. And if they had the same enthusiasm they had on Monday that they had on Friday, people would be on a whole nother level. So we got up and we just gave our gift out. Stop being stingy with your gift. Give it out. It'll come back to you, man. So I agree with you 100%, man. But just, you know, for 2016, become a giver. Don't always be a taker, man.
No, for real, man. Any more questions, C?
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna move on. We got a couple more. This one is actually for me. Do you mind? Somebody, you know what I'm saying? I gotta get permission from the boss.
You should have sent it to me so I can ask you. You get to ask the question and answer the question.
Well, unfortunately, you don't have access to the emails like I do. But Morgan in Atlanta says, CJ, it appears to me that you could easily be a 1. What made you believe in E enough to be a 2?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and no, for those of you, it's so funny, man. We do conferences and stuff, and of course I speak, and you know, we do this, and people are always coming up to me like, oh, you've been behind the scenes so long, you should really start speaking. You shouldn't be nervous. You can speak. You're very inspiring. And it's so funny to me because, like, I've never been shy or any of those things. It's just the role that I ended up putting myself in.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of people don't know this, but when we started, you know, I tell people all the time, we were a crew. We were like the Ninja Turtles, right? Like Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, like none of them were like the leader. They were just a squad. And that's kind of how we started out. And one of the things I noticed was that it was hard for us to all go on the road and go places and market the brand towards all of us, right? Me, Carl, E, LaShawn. Like, so what I did was I said, nope. you know what, in order for us to go to the next level, we got to put our best out front. And obviously E was our best, you know what I mean? And so I said, you know, I'm comfortable enough in myself and I'm comfortable enough in who E is to go ahead and push E out to the forefront and let him be our leader charging into this space. And for those of you who are entrepreneurs and you're starting companies and stuff like that, everybody can't play the same role. Right? You can't have 2 point guards on the same team. You can't have 2 centers. If you're playing 2-on-2 and you got 2 centers, you about to get in trouble because can't nobody bring the ball up the court.
Okay, see, no disrespect. Okay, see, no disrespect.
Right, yeah, absolutely. You got, I mean, and he always talks about it in Westbrook and Durant. You got 2 main scorers. And I think that's the problem they always run up against is who's going to distribute, who's going to defer. And for me, I said, you know what? He's the best we got by far. You know, I'm willing to move myself to another role. So let me come out of the speaking, let me come out of these other areas. But in Morgan, in regards to your question of why, believe it or not, it had nothing to do with E's speaking skill. It had everything to do with his character and who he was somebody I wanted to emulate in terms of his character. And I remember this was well into our relationship, but one of the things that solidified it for me was, you know, E had been on me about, all right, cool. We've been making $5,000-$7,000 a speech for a while now. See, you need to, you know, go after it. We need to be up to 10,000. So I was like, all right, cool. So I grinded for a couple weeks and I got the $10,000 gig. And I remember I was super pumped up again, just like the one, you know, I was talking about before, but I had got the gig for 10,000 and they gave me the date and I went to E and I'm like, yo, I got the 10 grand. He was hype. I was hype. And he was like, what's the date? And I gave him the date and he was like, man, I can't do it. And I was like, what? He was like, man, that's the day Jada get her braces put on. And I was like, E, you mean to tell me we gonna turn down $10,000 so you can be there for your daughter when she gets her braces put on? I said, don't you understand we could pay for these braces 3 times over? If you just do this one gig, I'm sure she'll understand. And he said, nah, see, I gave her my word that I would be there. She's nervous about getting her braces put on. I gave her my word I would be there. Call and see if they can switch the date. I called them. I said, can y'all switch the date? They said, nope, it's already set in stone. We got people flying in from all over the country. It's got to be that date. And I told E, I said, man, you know, hoping he was bluffing. I said, they can't change the date, E. And E said, man, well, tell them to think of us the next time, you know, they have an event. We'd love to come in and do it if, you know, my schedule permits. And you got to understand, for me, that is one of the things that solidifies the fact that I'm doing the right thing in my role. And I don't mind playing the 2 to somebody like this, because that's the type of character I want to have. That's the type of father I want to be. That's the type of husband I want to be. You know, and I have a great example in my father as well. And, you know, E is just along those same veins, just somebody that I wanted to emulate. And so it had nothing to do with the fact that E, in my opinion, is the greatest speaker in the world. It had everything to do with the type of character he has. You guys don't even understand. And maybe I'm putting out too much family business. E has never been paid $1 from a book sale, from a shirt, from any product that we have ever sold. ET has never made 1 dime from any of those things. He uses all the proceeds from all the products. We use every single dime we have to pay our staff, to pay our young people who come on, to do graphic design, to do shipping, to do our legal stuff, our contracts, event planning. We have used that money to pour back into the staff. And E has said, you know what? I don't need any money from any of those entities. I'm good with my speaking money and stuff like that. I'll use the rest of this money to pay my staff, to look out for my people, you know, and that's just the kind of character. One more example, there was a lady who, you know, kind of came into the church, you know, and he, for those of you who don't know, is a pastor for real. And he has a church, and a lady had come in there, and she might not have been there more than a month. And, you know, she was coming, and her house ended up catching on fire and burning down. And, you know, of course, E was like, man, we're going to see what the church can do. And I remember, and this is, you know, obviously E was doing well. And I remember saying, okay, cool. Everybody's pitching in money. Some got $20, some got $100, some got $300. And it came out. E, I hope you don't mind me saying this.
He's already said
be mad at me, but I just want to show, I just want to show people the kind of selflessness. E wrote a check for $20,000. Right? And I don't care who you are. I don't care if you multi-millionaire. I don't care who you are. He wrote this lady a check for $20,000. Now, you're not talking about me. My house catch on fire, right? My house catch on fire. Me and E been brothers for years. He loved me like a brother, whatever. He wrote me a check for 20 grand. That'd still be like out of this world, right? Like, whoa, he gave you 20,000. That'd still be a huge deal. But here was somebody who had just came into the church less than a month before that. The house caught on fire and E wrote a check for 20 grand and didn't tell anybody. I know, of course, because I'm in the inner circle, but he didn't tell anybody. He didn't try to put it on the news. Oh, local pastor gives a woman 20,000. None of that. He literally wrote it and act like nothing happened. And so when you guys are listening to E, when you're hearing him on the mixtapes, the albums, the podcasts, and all of these things, man, know that this guy is exactly who he says he is. And for me, that's the main reason why, for real, I don't care. I'll play Scottie Pippen for the rest of my life if that's what it takes, because I am following the right person. And this man has a character that's out of this world that I will continue to follow as long as he lets me. So I didn't mean to get mushy or emotional right there, but that is really, you know, the reason why, you know, I'm the two, man. Trust me, if it was just his skill, I would have left E a long time ago and been like, all right, cool, we just gonna buck for the title. I'd have been polishing up on my speaking and we could meet at the top. If it was just about speaking skill, I would have been like, okay, I'm a 1-2. I can be Jordan too. And I would have left a long time ago. But the character, man, was something that, you know, you just couldn't deny. So, yeah, Morgan, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry it's long-winded, but I wanted to make sure people really understand, you know, what they're dealing with. Because you get a lot of people out there who want to swindle you out of money, who, you know, are only worried about making a dollar and things like that. And you got to be careful of those people. But in this brand, you guys have somebody who truly wakes up every day and thinks about what he can say to better your life and how he can really pour into you. So that's a big deal. That's it for Ask ET. I know we ran a little long today, but we hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Again, man, if you guys are out there and you're saying, hey, we love what you guys are doing, love the podcast, love the videos, man, check us out at breatheuniversity.com. We are doing some amazing stuff. Again, I'll mention the fact that we've lowered the entry level price to $20, man. We're doing some amazing things with our Tuesday phone calls. Just had an amazing Tuesday phone call. Also the Sunday calls with E. I'm putting up audio that's unreleased from speeches all over. Who knows? We got speeches from, you know, the gig you did yesterday. I might just put that up there, a corporate event. So if you're interested in more, and this isn't for everybody, but this is for those people who saying, hey, I like that, but I really want the training modules. I really want to, you know, get the in-depth information on how you guys built the company.
Yeah, for real, guys.
Whole nine.
There are calls that CJ leads. Of course, we have a mastermind call on Sunday morning. And it's not about me, but you are actually in the presence of some of our students who are phenomenal humans and who are doing a phenomenal job in terms of their businesses, et cetera. And you got to be on the call. Like for those of you, literally, you know, and there's some people, for real, you're trying to nickel and dime your way to the top. It's not going to happen, guys. You got to make an investment in yourself. This is not about, like C said, I do not get paid if you in Breathe You or not in Breathe You. It's not like that, guys. I make my money from speaking and doing, you know, one-on-one coaching, you know, so I'm fine. But I'm telling you, you cannot get to the next level if you're not willing to make that investment. And so, you know, it's C's idea and Carl's idea. My idea was never to do $20, you know, entry fee. I'm just being real. What I give, the information that I give, it's too rich for $20. You know, but I do understand, you know, I understand why they asked us to do it. So I'm just saying, you know, you got 20 and whatever, but whatever, if you can only make a 20, you need to make an investment. There are those of you go out to eat, spend more than $20 a month. You know, you spend more on the movies, you know, so, and you're not getting.
How many books do we buy? How many conferences do we go to? How much time do we spend driving to events and conferences where we can learn hours away from the house?
Yeah, you got to pay for it. And I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it now. I'm still driving places and going to speak, you know, at these schools in the Michigan area. You know, I'm still driving. I'm still grinding. I'm still hustling. You know, so the investment doesn't stop. So, you know, these mastermind calls. Then CJ does a call. It used to be Tuesdays, but we're going to change the day. But C is giving you the blueprint of how he took somebody who was already a good speaker and made me worldwide, made me great, made me phenomenal. He's giving the blueprint on the things that he's done to actually take this brand and give some exposure to this brand. And there are those of you who are in branding. You're looking, you know, to find branding companies, branding institutions to help take you to the next level. I'm telling you, look no further than CJ, bro. Look no further than CJ. This is your guy.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. You just saying all that because I said all that about you in the 20,000.
No. Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Trying to butter me up now because I threw him the loop on the 20,000.
No way.
No. So listen, guys. You know what I'm saying? I smell a kiss up when one's coming. But no, man, breatheuniversity.com. Seriously, we're doing some great things there. I think you'll love it. Check it out. You got anything you want to leave the people with this week?
Man, be phenomenal or be forgotten, bro. Stop crying, stop whining, and grind your way to success. Stop whining your way to success.
What are you doing? What you got up this week? Tell the people what you got up. We here on Thursday. What you got up to?
Well, I'm actually leaving tomorrow. I've been fortunate. You know, I made a decision last year not to work with the NFL, you know, in terms of the organization and work with each team. You know, I tease and say I've been married for 25 years, been with the same woman since I was 16, so I'm not into like going and talk to all 32 teams, you know. I want to go where I'm celebrated. And so Coach Tomlin is one of the coaches this year, along with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who invited me in to speak. And I've been in a position to work with Coach, you know, from the time we start working with the team. I think they were about 6-5. So we worked with him the last 5 games of the season. He was like, I need a difference maker. I need to bring you in. You know what I'm saying? It's a rainy day, so I need to bring you in. So I was able to do weekly videos for him, and not just do them, but he asked about them. He embraced. Coach was like, yo, where that video at? I play it at a certain time. Right. And so we were fortunate enough to work with the Steelers. They were fortunate enough last week to get a wild card spot. So they'll be playing the Bengals this weekend. So Coach has asked me to come up. And the thing that's so phenomenal, I'm just going to be transparent, not even to speak to the team. You know, I'm sending the videos, you know, every week. But he's like, yo, I just want you to be around the team. I want you to eat with us, hang out with us. Phenomenal, So of course, you know, my son, who wants to be a agent one day, is going to come up with me, get an opportunity to spend some time with me, and then we're going to take you in the game on Saturday night, and you know, just be in the presence and build a relationship. So that's the thing I loved about Coach. He said to me when we met, I love you, I love your work, and look, you family now, you know. And so it's a privilege, man, to be a part of not only an NFL organization that's a dynasty, but to go where you celebrate it. There's somebody that knows your name, and you know what I'm saying, and always glad you came. You want to be where troubles are free. You want to be where everybody knows your name. You know what I'm saying? Maybe Carl could put that at the end. He could drop that in there for me, a little soundtrack over my singing. You know what I'm saying? So it is, man. It's a good feeling, man.
Never watched the show, but I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah. I've never watched the show myself, but I do know the tagline. So yeah, man. So we headed to we headed up there, man, to spend some time with them. You know, my boy Devin Steele, whose daughter, unfortunately, was diagnosed with cancer. That's been my guy since Penn State. You know, I spent some time with him when he was at Penn State. And then we also actually worked together at Howard High in Delaware, which is the high school he graduated from. So I'll get a chance to see D as well and spend some time with him. And then, you know, we got the no-fly zone that's with the Cincinnati Bengals as well, So,
of course.
Yeah, I get an opportunity to just to hug, share some love with my fam, but to spend the weekend with the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. So I'm excited about that.
All right, man, and I'll be at home taking care of a crazy 2-year-old and a pregnant wife. We don't do, you know, we're just gonna go out, probably, you know, do some eating and some hanging, man.
Make sure you look for me at the game.
Weekend.
Look for me at the game
for the fam. Right? Yeah. Hey, FaceTime me.
No doubt.
Sounds good, man. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Secret to Success podcast. Again, man, we appreciate you guys hanging in with us. This is our 3rd episode. You guys been rocking with us. Tell a friend about it. Let them know they need to listen. Let them know they need to be inspired. It's free. So really tell them they have no excuses not to check us out. And you guys do your thing, man. Blessings to you this weekend, and we'll talk soon.
Boom. Be phenomenal. Be forgotten.
Execution is worship. So in order to effectively communicate, you must eradicate excuses.